You are about to enjoy a Firearms Radio Network podcast. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-hosts and do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on live shows. If you like what we're doing and would like to help support the show, visit patreon.com/afteractionproject. If you'd like to throw us some free support and appreciation, we would greatly appreciate a 5-star review on iTunes. And tonight's episode, just like every episode, is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. Be sure to check out the other great podcasts on the Firearms Radio Network by visiting firearms-related.tv. And if you guys haven't had a chance to check out the RangeBuddy.App, you can hear more about that in any of the previous episodes. I don't want to go on another 5-minute discussion about that. Check out the RangeBuddy.App. It's over 130. It's a collection of over 130 handgun drills. We'll be adding shotgun and rifle drills to that later this year. There's a virtual instructor component to it, but it's a great way to enhance and increase the fun during your range practice sessions. Tonight, we are joined by Robyn of A Girl and a Gun, and we'll be discussing their national conference. Awesome. Cool. There's some more stuff we already covered in those notes. Hey, let's kick it off. I want to go around the horn real quick, have everybody introduce themselves to our listeners. Tell us a little bit about your background in the firearms training industry, and then we'll do a deep dive into the national conference. Robyn, let's go ahead and start with you.
Well, my name is Robyn Sandoval. I'm the executive director of A Girl and a Gun Women's Shooting League. I've been in the firearms industry for 12 years now, since the start of A Girl and a Gun, which was designed to get women off the sidelines of their lives. We just wanted to get more women to the range. All levels. If you've never shot before, we want to teach you how and teach you the safety and range etiquette and make sure that you're welcomed at the range and let you know that there's other ladies like us that are out there. And if you like to shoot and you just are used to shooting with the guys, you're welcome to come out and join us too. It's a lot of fun to shoot with the girls.
Awesome. Let's kick it over to Eileen. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you involved with A Girl and a Gun.
I'm Eileen Curlin. I'm from Boulder City, Nevada. I run the chapter of A Girl and a Gun in Henderson. Seriously, if you asked me 7 years ago, I would have said I wouldn't have never shot a gun, much less be where I am today. I'm a firearms instructor, USCCA, NRA, range master. I'm also a competitive shooter, and my love is multi-gun. So I travel around shooting that. We have a fall fest every year, the only all-female 3-gun match in the country, and that's like one of my favorite matches of the year. I found The Girl and a Gun just randomly. One day I heard people talking about it, and I always kind of wanted to learn how to shoot a gun. And it's been a love affair since then. I just absolutely love this organization and what it does for other women and bringing them into the community and empowering them.
Did you say the Fall Fest, and that was the only all-female 3-gun?
Only all-female 3-gun match in the country, and it happens every end of September, October.
First weekend of October.
That's awesome. How many participants did you have at this year's Fall Fest?
We have about 100 women come out and compete.
But we also do what's called 3-Gun University, where they can come out and learn all about 3-gun before competing. And people who have competed in the past come just to make their skills a little bit better before the match.
Awesome. I'd love to have an episode dedicated to that. Dakota, let's kick it over to you really quick. I'm going to go hush my dog up, but tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, what got you involved with A Girl and a Gun, and your background in the firearms training industry.
Sounds good. My name is Dakota Adelphia. I got involved in A Girl and a Gun about 4 years ago now, and I run the San Diego chapter. What got me into it is that I bought a shield, a 9mm M&P shield, and I could not figure out how to rack the slide. And so every time I'd go to the range, I'd have my boyfriend rack the slide for me. And I thought to myself, this is not very sustainable if he always has to be with me every time I shoot. So I had Googled, women's shooting club, and I found A Girl and a Gun through that. And the woman who was running the San Diego chapter at the time, her name is Judy Wells. She kind of encouraged me to get more involved and start competing. And then eventually asked me if I would want to take over the chapter when she retired. And so she encouraged me to seek out some different instructor credentials. And like Eileen, I'm a range master instructor, and I enjoy competing as well, but not so much the multi-gun. I'm getting into that now, but I haven't been to Fall Fest yet. That's on the list, but mostly pistol competitions, Steel Challenge, USPSA, stuff like that.
That's awesome. Man, I did not realize, we were talking a little bit in the pre-show about a girl and a gun, and I don't want to give away any secrets, but it was pretty exciting for me to start talking about. So, Robyn, tell us a little bit about what the national conference is, how many participants you had, and all that good stuff.
So our national conference is our biggest event of the year. So every day, somewhere in the country, a Girl and a Gun is hosting an event. We love to get women to the range, and so at the local level, we host Girls Night Out at more than 300 ranges nationwide. On the national level, we have the Fall Fest match, like Eileen said, and we have a few other really fun activities like Sniper School and a bunch of other things. But our biggest event of the year is our national conference. And this year we had 600 students come out to Colorado. We had 102 of the nation's top firearms educators presenting different topics. And we taught classes on everything you can think of: pistols, rifles, shotguns, competition defense, ground fighting, concealed carry, knife defense, legal aspects, gunsmithing, gun cleaning, tasers, bushcraft, OC. The sky was the limit. We pretty much touched on every aspect of a responsibly armed citizen. And the training ran over 3 days. Each student had a class in the morning and a class in the afternoon for 3 days. And then we also enjoy a demo day where our sponsors come out. Glock is our title sponsor of the event. And we had a lot of our sponsors were there: Glock and Walther and Staccato and Night Force. And they were there. Mossberg and others had their latest lines. And so they bring a bunch of free ammo and let our girls try out everything. And that's how we spend Thursday getting ready for training. And then we hit the ground Friday, Saturday, Sunday training with all of these really amazing educators.
That's awesome. 600 students. That is incredible. And what do you cap it out? Does it sell out every year?
Yeah, it sells out every year. This is our biggest one. We sold out in 6 hours for 600 students. I turned it on at midnight Eastern time. And so I turned it on, went to bed, and woke up at 6, and I had to turn it off. So it was already sold out. So these ladies are really amazing because they set their alarms to get up in the middle of the night to register. It's a rite of passage and kind of some bragging rights to be able to get those first spots. You choose classes in the order that you register. So that's why everybody's setting alarms for midnight to get up in the night, or no matter where they are, what time zone, so that they can have first dibs at the instructors that they want to train with.
That's awesome. Eileen, talk to us a little bit about the planning that goes into it and how your chapter supported the national conference.
Well, we have here in Southern Nevada, we're unique. We have 2 chapters very close to each other that we kind of work hand in hand. So I think we ended up having about 11 or 12 ladies from Southern Nevada come out the conference. Everybody carpooled out there. We spent a lot of time prior to conference getting everybody ready so that they could get the most out of it. A lot around the country, a lot of women have never drawn from holsters before. And it's required. A lot of men have never drawn from holsters before either. But so it's a requirement at conference to have a holster. So we spent a lot of time ahead of the conference getting our ladies prepped so they can get the most out of their classes when they get there. And we train them like they're going to be trained at conference with commands and different ways of etiquette on the range, just so that when they're there and not overwhelmed, they can actually learn as much as possible when they're there.
That's awesome. That is, I'm blown away. 600 all female students.
Yep, they range in age from 13 to 77 from 40 states. We represented 123 Girl and a Gun chapters.
That is awesome. How many chapters do y'all have?
About 300.
About 300. That's awesome. Dakota, talk to us a little bit about what showing up at conference looks like for an attendee, right? If this was a student's first time attending the national conference, what does that look like for them? And you know what? I'm going to cut it off there. Challenge myself one question at a time. So what does it look like for an attendee's first few hours at conference?
Yeah, so I think it really depends on a variety of factors. But if you are participating in the fun things that you can do ahead of time, you can get to Grand Junction a few days early and work with some of some other vendors in the area. There is a heligunning opportunity where you can shoot a rifle out of a helicopter nearby at the range through another partner vendor. And so some of the girls come out for that, and they are coming into conference on the high of their life. They have never done anything that cool. I had a girl from the North San Diego chapter who was like, that was the most fun I've ever had. And she's, middle-aged woman. And she said that was the highlight of her entire life. So some of the girls are coming in just super excited for what they're going to learn. And then we also have some girls who are brand new and super nervous about what it's going to be like and what it is. And I hope that everybody feels the same way that my girls felt, but I had multiple first-time attendees from my chapter go who said that they felt so welcomed, that their first interactions with the A Girl and a Gun volunteers and facilitators was just so kind and reassuring. Something that A Girl and a Gun National Conference does is a gear check. So prior to Friday, when you go to your first class, you actually have to go through and prove that your firearm fires, that it works properly. And so we check the girls for some safety stuff, make sure that their holsters are safe and that their belts are good and they have mag pouches and everything that they need to be successful in their classes. So that's one of their first kind of, experiences at conference, is going through that gear check process. And some of the girls are nervous about it, but by the time they left, they were all smiling. They were like, wow, that was way easier than I thought it was going to be. And I think overall the vibe is just very welcoming and friendly.
Do attendees have to be a member of A Girl and a Gun, or is it open to anybody?
No, you have to be a member of A Girl and a Gun to attend our national conference.
That's awesome. And you're still selling out 600 students in 6 hours. That's freaking incredible. It's exciting to see that, to know that there are that many folks that are taking their training and their safety seriously and reaching out to or that there's an organization that's reaching out and that is actually filling a huge void in the firearms industry, and specifically the firearms training industry. Robyn, talk to us a little bit about the administrative workload. How many months are you preparing leading up to the event? And share with us the most stressful thing. If there's one thing that you freak out about the most going into conference, what is that?
Actually, conference is pretty much a well-oiled machine. This was our 11th year doing it. I have spreadsheets like crazy. I have a really reliable staff, and I hand everybody a bunch of spreadsheets, and everybody knows the marching orders, and we all work with a lot of pride to get everything done. So there's not a lot of freaking out going into conference. Our sponsors are always eager to help and be on board. We have a lot of volunteers. A lot of our members come in early to help us get stuff ready. We have a pro shop, and everybody's hanging up shirts. And then we have, guys, our guys, we can't be without our guys that help us, our husbands and other volunteers that come out. They're moving stuff on the range for us, getting it all in place. So it's just a really great community and a well-oiled machine. So everything kind of falls in line, but it is a year-long worth of planning, from sponsors to, of course, budgeting and making sure we have all the banners and the targets and the consumables and all of the things we need, and then making sure that we have all the curriculum planned for instructors, that all of their travel is arranged and all of their housing and meals are prepared. And so there's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes that people don't know about. But that is one of the things that makes this conference really special, is that our instructors really love it. And especially our instructors that work, oftentimes they work in law enforcement and they're with in-service officers or people who just don't want to be there and don't care, and they have to be there for their job. And when they come out to these women who are just sponges to soak up everything they hear and are so excited and grateful to learn from these instructors, for some of them, it really renews why they do what they do, why they love teaching. And it's nice to see them come in as this is just another gig, to leaving on an all-time high. And a lot of them say that they wouldn't miss it, because just being with these women who are so grateful for the opportunity to learn. And also, I feel a lot of pride in that we have ladies coming from 40 states, traveling across the country with their gear. And these are women that have never flown with guns before, have often never traveled without their spouses before. And this is a life-changing experience for them, even beyond the shooting that they learn on the range. The event surrounding conference is life-changing for them. And it's such a gift for these instructors that this woman, a new shooter, did all of these things, put on all of this bravery and courage to get on a plane with her firearms and travel across the country to someone, to be on his or her range at that exact moment, to learn what they had to say. And I think about when I was a new shooter, what a wonderful opportunity would have been to be with these incredible instructors, because the instructors we have are the best in the industry. And so for a new shooter, they don't even know, they don't know the big names there. They just trust us at A Girl and the Gun that we have really amazing friends. And so they don't come for all the shiny, but they leave with just such a gift to go home and have their knowledge and their confidence elevated. And it's just an incredible energy and experience that I don't think anyone gets at any other event in the industry.
Yeah, speaking for me, and Andy's not with us tonight, but there have been several times on the range where Andy has taken a student, specifically a female student, that's never shot a handgun before, and they, there's a bit of fear that drove them to seeking out the instruction and the tools to be able to defend themselves. And in the moment where it clicks, where that empowerment click, right, where they feel that bit of empowerment, knowing that they can defend themselves, it is one of the most rewarding feelings and incredible feelings that you have out there on the range. So I can imagine with 600 students that there's a whole bunch of that stuff going on. I want to kick it back over to Dakota. Dakota, talk to us a little bit about what students, like for you, what is your biggest takeaway as somebody who, a day or two after the conference has ended, what are some of your biggest takeaways and things that you are really proud of from that conference?
I think it's hard because there's so many things that you walk away being proud of. Just speaking as a regular attendee, not from the facilitator aspect, but just for myself personally, I feel honored to be in this community of women shooters and to be alongside so many women who I've never met before in my life, but we become friends in those classes. So just that opportunity to meet people across the country who are there trying to do the same thing you're trying to do. They're trying to learn how to be a better shooter, be a better defender, and working alongside of them is really such an honor. I think when I leave conference, what I try to do is reread through my notes and kind of make a little bit more detailed notes, because usually in class you're like frantically trying to write or type on your phone and you can't really get everything. So I give it a few days and I go back through, and it's amazing every year just how much new stuff there is. There's different instructors who come in and they say, you should try it this way, and you've maybe never even thought about that. So just how it widens my horizons and makes me a more well-rounded, instructor and student. That's really something that is so nice and unique. The instructors at conference are not all kind of touting the same curriculum. They're all teaching things in their own way with their own flavor, and you can get so much out of that.
Alina, I want to ask you the same question. What are some of your biggest takeaways? And, when you're reflecting upon this conference a day or two later, after you've had a minute to get past the euphoria and the high of, we just did this for 600 freaking people.
I think this is my fifth, maybe sixth conference. I know I went to 2 in Texas, so this was our 3rd in Grand Junction, so then a virtual. I've learned so much. I've been able to have repeat instructors, which is amazing over the years to see them and hear how they evolve too. I always go into it as a student, but also as an instructor, trying to hear how I can then bring information back and teach better to my members here and to my students here. Something I take away really is looking at the ladies that went. We had several repeats, but we had several new ladies this year too. And the enthusiasm of them and how they are so motivated when they get home to really put that into action. And they're calling me like, can we work on this on the range? Can we do this? Can we do that? I'd like them to hear. They're just so excited. they've never done anything like this before. And it's such a unique experience for a woman to go to a conference like this. So I just love watching them and hearing their excitement. And they're already planning next year. They're looking for Airbnbs already. They're already, and we're getting more people to come. So kind of where I come from for that is just really to see my own members and what they take away from it just means so much to me, because it's a lot of work to get ready for this.
Robyn, Eileen touched on something there about the student specifically, and I want you to take a little deeper dive into that. What does the student look like? Is there a minimum skill set required? I know you said that it was mentioned that they have to do a gear check, but do they have to be able to shoot a certain drill in a certain amount of time? So talk to us about what the student looks like.
Well, we have identified what we call our color track system. So we have 4 different color tracks. They're not really levels. They're more like lifestyles of, for example, do you use a holster? Are you a competitor? Are you a hard charger like Eileen going around the country doing multi-gun matches? Or are you a new shooter that identifies as new and that might be second guessing, do I know enough to be here? Am I a little nervous? And so while they might have the skills to do it, their confidence might be shaky. So we've identified those into a category as well. So now our instructors can kind of tweak their curriculum for those particular mindsets. Many of our girls don't work out of a holster except at conference because their home ranges don't allow holster work. Some of them are really great marksmen. They do GSSF, Steel Challenge, ASI, and other sports, bullseye shooting from the low ready. They just don't have the holster skills. So we've kind of categorized through our color tracks these kinds of experiences where they are so that we can craft their curriculum to meet them where they are and to kind of help them elevate the skills that they're working on. So for those who have never shot from a holster, obviously we work over holster usage, coming out of the draw, presenting on target. We do a lot of repetition on that. And we have lots of different angles on that, whether it's focused on grip or whether it's focused on trigger press or target transitions. There's a lot of different flavors to that, but all focused on that knowledge that this student needs to take holstering that activity pretty slowly. Whereas others on the other end of the color track system, they draw from the holster all the time. They're competing, they're using dump barrels, and it's just a different experience for them. So everything is really tailored to that student, where she is in her journey, and really what her goals are. If she never has any intention to shoot USPSA or to, do serious defensive training, we have a lot of ladies that just want to have fun. They just like the empowerment that shooting brings. They just like being with other like-minded women. They don't have the intent to do a lot of intense defensive training or go hands-on or do the extra other stuff that we love. So it's really great that we have different opportunities for everyone. So whether they want to learn archery or, we have a cowboy action class where it's just good fun and, you're shooting the wheel guns and it's just a lot of fun. So there's something for everybody. And so it depends on her color. It depends on her ability. Some of them have mobility issues, not just because of age, although there is that, but many of them have had recent injuries. We have a couple who just had babies. And so they're trying to limit their lead exposure. So every woman in her journey, her own personal life journey, as well as her shooting journey, there's something for her at conference.
That's awesome. Is there, if you had to split it, live fire versus dry fire versus, classroom only blocks of instruction, what percentage wise, how do those break up?
It's about 60% live fire and 40% dry fire. There's only one classroom class. Everything else is, well, two technically. 2 classroom classes, everything else is out on the range. So whether it's some kind of workshop, whether it's bushcraft, or we have optics classes where we look through different glass and we talk about magnification. A lot of ladies don't know, do I need a 4X or a 12X, or if I'm shooting, a mile and a half away or I'm shooting 3-gun. I mean, all these different optics are different depending on your needs. And so sometimes that can be overwhelming. So we have an optics class. And so there's a lot of things we can do that aren't with live fire that are just as valuable. And in fact, we had a lot of train the trainer classes this year that were dry fire, working with SIRT pistols, working with different movements, alternate positions, barricades. And it was a way to give our instructors the ability to get that extra training to go home and give them some tools in their toolbox to teach when they get back to their local chapters. So whether they're a new shooter, whether they're an instructor, like I said, we have something for everybody.
Dakota, I want to ask you about your student or your experience as a student. What was the most challenging part of any of the national conferences that you attended as a student?
Oh man, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
I think that my very first conference was challenging in some ways just because Robyn kind of mentioned it a minute ago, but there are some women who come and think, do I even belong here? Do I even have a place at this table? And I think my first day of my first conference, I was like, what have I gotten myself into? Is this where I should be? But by day two, I was sure that this was the right place for me. And I think that sometimes the challenge can just come from uh, personal challenges. So like for me, one of the things that I really wanted to work on at conference was getting faster with my shooting. I felt like I was an accurate shooter, but I couldn't really speed up. And so I took some classes that were focused more on competition shooting and fast shooting. And it was really personally challenging for me to have shots all over the paper. I'm like, I want them in this little tiny hole. So, there's things like that just from a personal standpoint. But that's the lovely thing about conference is you can choose your classes to be in the areas that you need the most work and that you need the most push. If I'm by myself at the range, it's harder for me to push myself than when I'm on a line with a bunch of other students and I have an instructor telling me that I'm being too accurate, and then I'm like, oh, you're right. I can do this. So I think the challenge is almost self-inflicted. I wanted classes that gave me that kind of challenge.
Awesome. Eileen, as a student, who have been some of your notable instructors that you really
Oh,
enjoyed training with?
wow. I at conference itself, it's just amazing. When you're in the gun world and you mention the people who are coming, the guys are like, "What? Who? How did you get them?" So I was lucky. I got to take a class with Farnham last year. It was a lot of fun, and I mean, he's a name that you just want to have at least have a class with him at some point. I would say probably my biggest repeat is Brian Quick, out of Texas. He's just an amazing instructor, and I've taken a class of his at every conference, and I just absolutely love his teaching style. Um, and a few years ago, I got to take a class with Patrick Kelly, and he is a guru in the three gun world, and the fact that I got to take one class with him was just so amazing. And we're still Facebook friends, and he answers questions all the time if you post something. So you really get these, because the classes are small. The instructors are so they're so outgoing. They hey, here's my phone number, here's my email, call me. And they really do. They don't mind you reaching out to them. I hope we don't torture them, but it's like I still smile every time I see some of his posts online, and I'll post something and he'll like it. I'm like, Patrick Kelly, because he's just a guru for me as a three gunner. So, oh no, don't come up here. Sorry.
No worries. That's awesome. Robyn, speaking of instructors, what's the student to instructor ratio? And then the follow up to that is going to be, who's the instructor that you're looking for? How do you choose these 100+ instructors to come out and really trust them with your vision, your goal, and 600 women traveling from all over the country?
It really depends on the topic. Most of the time, our shotgun classes are a little smaller. If someone's doing sporting clays, we have about 5 students in a class, 5 students per instructor. Usually I'll have a line of 16. On a firing line, we'll have 16. If it's an IDPA or USPSA style class where there's more of a stage and it's a one at a time engagement, then we might have 10 or 12 students. So it really depends on the subject matter. And then also depending on, a lot of the instructors will have a team. They team teach or have an AI that comes with them, or we have some RSOs that are there as well. So it kind of is all just dependent on the levels of students, the topic, and all of the things. What was the second? Oh, how do I find the instructors? I go train with them. I love to train, and I love to go out and take these classes. I want to see this instructor on the line, how they interact with their students, if they're friendly. That's a big priority for me. Not only must they have really exceptional and great material. They must have a good reputation, obviously, but they have to be nice people. I'm not going to trust my girls with somebody who's yelling at them on the line. That's a really big part of our Girl in the Gun community, is that our curriculum is challenging. Our stages are tough. Some of our matches are the most challenging that some ladies shoot all season. But our community is kind, and that means cheering you along the way, telling you can do it, giving you pointers to help you do it. And that's a really big part of what I'm looking for in an instructor, is to make sure that their curriculum is challenging. We don't powder puff anything. People think, oh, it's a girl in the gun, that's cute. When they come out to the range, I guarantee my girls cannot shoot pretty much anybody, because we do have challenging curriculum, but we do also have at the same channel a very kind community. And so it's the right mix. So I go train with a lot of instructors. I'm really grateful to be able to go and take different classes, and then just meet different people in the industry that I've wanted to work with for a while. Sometimes it's a gamble. I'll see somebody online, or they're a friend of a friend, and I'll see other people training with them, and I'll invite them out. And after every conference, we send out an after action report to all of the members. We have about a 60% return rate on that, of who fills out the survey. But that gives me a really good idea on how that instructor is or is not a good fit for our community, and whether or not to invite them back. But usually I'm, batting pretty high percentage of wins. So we're
The
really
instructors generally ask us to give a good review because they want to come back.
Yeah. Do they really? They're
Yeah, they
patting
do. They do. They're like, I really want to come back. Write a good review.
Yeah, and I'm really grateful that a lot of instructors have reached out. Wayne Rups asked if he reached out to me and asked if he could come, and Ed Monk will be joining us next year as well. So just different instructors that have never been there. They see their friends having a good time with a girl in the gun, and they want to come out too. So finding instructors has never been a challenge. I'm really grateful to know the best and the brightest in our industry.
That's cool. What you were involved 11 years ago. When did a Girl in a Gun, when was that founded? And then I'll ask you the next question.
Yeah, 12 years ago. So it was back in February 28th, 2011. My friend Juliana Crowder was a firearms instructor in Austin, Texas, and she wanted to have girls' night out at the range. She was an IDPA shooter, and she was often the only lady at the matches. There were other girls there, but nobody was shooting. And she thought, what if I could get an all-ladies squad? And I had other people to shoot with. So she decided to host a girls' night out at the range. So just to make it welcoming and approachable. So on February 28th, 2011, she hosted the first girls' night out at the range, and a Girl in the Gun was born. And at the time, I was a new gun owner, terrified of guns, swore I would never get one ever. I was strongly anti-gun for most of my life. But through I don't know, divine calamity of circumstances, I heard about these GNOs, and I went to her third girls' night out that just a few weeks later, and it changed my life. I met women who were firearms enthusiasts. I got to talk to them about, why do you like guns? Why are you not scared of them? How do you talk to your kids about them? How do you store them at home? And all of the important why questions. So not only did Girl in the Gun give me exposure to really good instruction, it gave me exposure to a really great community where, as a woman, I could ask those questions and feel comfortable and help me in my journey. And a Girl in the Gun just grew. More ladies wanted to come to Girls Night Out. And so our little chapter in just a couple months turned into multiple chapters. And then Juliana and I partnered up. And for the past decade, we've been growing the league. And so, yeah, that's how we've done it.
What 11 years ago, when you had that first national conference, how many attendees did you have?
We had 100 women come out for our first conference. It was in Waco, Texas, and we were so excited to get 100. We thought, how are we ever going to get 100 ladies to come out? But Juliana had the vision of, she had gone to train with Masad Ayub and Kathy Jackson and Tom Givens, and she thought, what if we could get these ladies to understand that there's that caliber of instructor? Because, when we started in 2011, if we went to a class, we were the only females there. There were not women taking those classes from those instructors. And so we thought, what if we can make it more approachable, where they come and learn what it's like to be on a firing line, learn what it's like to have advanced level classes, so that they know, here's a taste of it. Here's a half day with this instructor. So yeah, Tom Givens has been an instructor at our conference, Kathy Jackson too, Masad Ayub has too. So all of them have been really supportive of us over the years. And the whole idea was, how can we give someone 3 hours so that now they can go to that class at home? They won't be afraid to go to a Daryl Bulkey class, or won't be afraid to go to a Tim Herron class. They know what's expected of them, and that they can step up and perform on the line just like all the other guys. And I'm really proud that now when I go to a class, I'm still usually the only female there, but more often than not, there are a few of us now. And that makes me really proud to see a picture of really advanced level classes that see a lot more women showing up, and we're representing really well. So that makes me very proud.
Yeah. Dakota, talk to us a little bit. I want to stay kind of on the instructor path a little bit. Can you give us some insight as a student, some of the challenges that you've seen instructors face with an all-female firing line, or is that something that is not an issue and it's just me being a complete fish out of water right now?
I think it depends on the instructor. Some people maybe aren't as comfortable teaching a class of all women, but I haven't personally seen it be a problem. I think for the most part, our girls are there with the same intentions that any of their other, students would have, which is learning, becoming better at shooting, and being receptive to that. And so the majority of the time, our instructors are excited to be there. They're very, very happy to have an all ladies class, and it may be their first time ever teaching all women. And so they'll say things like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe there's so many girls here." Like, they know what conference is before they show up, but they still, when they see it, it's mind blowing to a lot of them. So I think they're just really excited to be a part of the vision and a part of helping women become more competent self-defenders. And I think that they do a fantastic job of being nice. And that might be the hardest thing, is a lot of times the girls need a little bit more just, kind, smiling faces. They don't like getting yelled at or anything like that. So Robyn does a fantastic job choosing the instructors and making sure the culture stays kind.
One of the things that I've noticed as an instructor is that 9 times out of 10, it's easier to teach and coach a female student than it is a man. Probably because we're stubborn. Women are stubborn too, but I think there's just there's something going on where there's just this I don't know, intrinsic understanding that I'm here to learn. I'm paying this person to teach me. Maybe I should listen to their instruction. Eileen, I want to spend a few minutes talking with you guys about some of those other myths. That a minute ago I talked about a fish out of water. So have there been any myths that had to be overcome, or just misinformation out there when it comes to females in the firearms industry, as far as it's let's get them a small pink revolver,
shrink it and pink it.
yeah
Well, just bringing that up, we do a survey every year too, which is really interesting. Dakota mentioned earlier the gear check that we do. Well, when every student goes through gear check, they also fill out a form where they list the type of firearm they have, the caliber, what type of holster they have, what type of belt they have. What I'm not sure what else we went into. We should do optics next year, red dots for sure. But it's really interesting to see that, and the quality of firearms that these ladies have. I think sometimes the general public will think ladies all have the little pink guns, a little revolver, but people have some really nice firearms that come to conference and good quality gear. We really try to instill into them the cry once, buy once thing. We try not to let them buy a lot of junk. And so I find that interesting. And I think a lot of people are surprised at the quality of firearms that the ladies come with.
That was a question when I sent out our results of the guns that were at conference. One of the guys who is heavy in the revolver world wrote me back, and he said there were no revolvers there. I was like, well, in the cowboy action class, yeah, we shot revolvers, but no, not in the defensive classes, no. And that's a real surprise to some of the old school guys. The OG guys really think that all women carry revolvers, and why a lot of them do, and a lot of people might carry them. It's just not conducive for the serious training that we do.
Yeah, you don't want to shoot 500 rounds out of a revolver in 3 hours.
Right. So we
Yeah.
had 843 guns brought to conference, and so that gives a really good sample of what women are loving and using and carrying and training with. So those results are on our website at agirlandagun.org, so people can see those.
Speaking of gear, were there any gear issues? Did you see any? With 600 students, I'd imagine you've seen some guns go down. What were some of those common, I guess, issues that you've seen with gear?
Well, guns, we didn't have an issue with guns this year. A couple years ago, we had a lot of issues with ammunition when manufacturing was really cranking up, and we saw a lot of squib rounds. We happened to have a pallet of ammo that was, um, you know, it had that lot number. So that was the only thing that we had. A couple years ago, we saw more ammo issues than anything. Guns and gear, we're really meticulous about educating the ladies before they get there. So a lot of times, we don't allow Serpa holsters. We don't allow holsters that have any kind of trigger finger retention release. We don't. We have a lot of a list of things that are prohibited on the range, but also a list of features. We let the girls know of what they should look for, safe features that they would want in a good quality holster. So we try to set them up for success, and we do that in advance. All of the chapters have holster clinics where they go over that kind of gear. So we really have that kind of pretty minimalized once ladies are actually on site. But we do have some vendors there so that if they have a holster that doesn't work with their gun, or if they do have some gear that's not going to work out, we have some of our vendors there with some things on site that they can buy.
I want to do a quick little open discussion on a topic that's kind of intrigued me lately, that I've taken on just gaining a little bit more personal experience with, and that's off-body carry. And that's, for years and years, it's easy for an instructor, especially a guy instructor, to be like, just get a holster, carry it on your body. You got to figure that part out. So a few weeks ago, Andy's still teasing me, but I've recently started carrying in a fanny pack, just so that I can have a little bit more personal experience with the pros and the cons of that. What kind of performance degradation am I actually seeing, draw to first shot? And as a guy, I don't have the same challenges that females have when it comes to trying to conceal a handgun on their person. So where do you all fall on the subject of off-body carry?
Well, good for you for taking on the step to do it. That's the problem with a lot of criticisms that we hear often, is that men will say, "Oh, don't do it," but they've never taken the steps to experience what it's like. So good for you for actually practicing it and seeing how you like it and how it works in your life. For a lot of women, that is their life. And our stance at A Girl and a Gun is there's a lot of different ways to carry, but ultimately it's your decision how you run your life. We just want to teach you to make safest decisions. We want you to have safe gear and make sure that your draw stroke is safe. And we lay out all the options. But we did have off-body carry classes at conference. If you were at TACCon, you saw Vicki Farnham shot the TACCon match from off-body carry. So there's a lot of myth busting that's happening out there on how to carry so that it does not diminish your draw stroke and your time to first shot. So it's just something that people, I think, need to check out for themselves.
Yeah, I second everything Robyn just said. I think it's really important as instructors to be aware of what's out there and to familiarize yourself with that. I personally do not very regularly carry off body. I carry with the Filster Enigma on body, and that allows me kind of the flexibility to carry in gym clothes or leggings or anything like that. So that's my personal kind of journey. I got lucky. I found the Enigma in like 2020 when it was kind of still a new thing, and I got hooked into that, and I don't really carry any other way, but occasionally I do carry off body, and I think it's really important to work those things, those concepts into your practice. I have some students who come to me with that intent in mind. So, they say, I'm planning on carrying off body and I want to be safe. And I think it's important to, withhold judgment. I hear a lot of horror stories from my girls who say, I went to a firearms instructor and I asked how to be safe at this, and they laughed at me, or, they told me there's no way to do that safely. And so I think it's awesome that the industry is kind of moving in a direction where a lot of people are putting in the time and effort to learn what it's like and how to be safe with it.
Yeah, I don't personally off-body carry because I'm the person who leaves their pocketbook everywhere. So I know that about myself, so I can't. But I mean, I'll go over things with my members. I have several that off-body carry, and as long as they're doing it properly, I'm okay with it. Interesting thing is I took a class last year locally, and it was a concealed carry class. So I was like, yeah, this would be really good to learn to draw from the holster concealed better. And the only person that was off body was a guy that was in the class. And he had one of those satchels that you open up. And boy, he was sick of doing that by the end of the day. But it was just interesting that the only person in the class with an off body was a guy.
Yeah. And that's, my perspective has always been like, hey, the goal is, up until recently, right? The goal is how do you fully understand the pros and cons of off-body carry? And then hopefully that will lead you to a solution that allows you to carry on body. But for a lot of folks, I'd imagine that's not, it's just not possible, whatever it is. I'm loving the fanny pack though. Super comfortable. It allows me to keep everything that I have out of my pocket.
It's a belt bag. Fanny packs are so 80s, and now it's a belt bag. You have to be super fashionable now.
Yeah, Andy gives
Is it specific for carry, that bag?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's the Verdix SOCP, right? So it allows me to have the the Tenacore holster that I normally carry on body appendix. I'm able to put it in that bag, and so it's a pretty similar setup. Go ahead.
That's what I love about more and more of the bag makers are also making them in conjunction with a lot of instruction. So I love seeing bags where you can actually take your holster off body, put it into your bag without manipulating your firearm, take the holster out of the bag, put it in your safe without manipulating the firearm. So everyone's getting a little smarter about it. And I love seeing those things. We actually just designed a girl in the gun carry bag for everything that's not the gun that gun girls carry. So we have our OCR light, our knife, our TQ, all the things that we carry on a daily basis that aren't the gun. My chapstick, that's an important EDC. So that we have a girl in the gun bag for that. So all of the other tools while our guns are on body. But everybody's lifestyle is different.
Yeah. That's neat. Yeah, I have my palm pepper spray in there, my pocket knife. I got
yeah.
A couple other things. People are like, oh, what are you carrying there? I was like, oh, my wallet, my AirPods, OC spray, all that good stuff. And it's there are people that a lot of folks are like, oh, that's the shoot me first bag. And I was like, I get that. Anytime I see somebody wearing a fanny pack, I immediately assume a gun. But I don't know if the criminal element in our society is thinking that far enough through. My goal is this year or next year to actually run a class from the fanny pack. I think the challenge will be finding an instructor that is comfortable with that. I'd imagine Tim Herron would allow me just because I've trained with him. I've taken his class a couple times, but I don't know if I want to run a pistol performance course from a fanny pack.
You won't be as fast.
I'm already not as fast. I'm in that class and I'm at like the bottom of the deal. He's got USPSA grandmasters in there. And I'm like, the first time I took it, I ran it from appendix with a Neo Mag holster. And then I'm like, all right, well, that was dumb. I can carry a backup mag and a Neo Mag in my day-to-day life, but I will get more out of this class if I'm able to, reload a little bit faster.
But that's great for if you want to try and take the class with your everyday carry. A lot of people are afraid to do that. And a lot of instructors, primarily because the challenge with teaching everyday carry is just because it's a non-traditional holster draw. So you have to make sure that no one is, on the line if your holster draw is this oriented sideways. So that can be a challenge in running a class. And I've taken a class one time. I did take a class from using a bra holster, and we had to go up individually because the draw was sideways. But I was so grateful to have that training, and I recognized that holster wasn't something that I wanted to use in my life. But I also recognized its strengths and safety features and all of those things. But I would not have had all of that in just a strictly dry fire environment. Having that live fire practice was so valuable for me to learning whether or not I wanted that as my EDC. So it's good to seek out those classes where you can be a little more not experimental, but get use of run your gear the way you carry it.
Yeah, because you can tell somebody 100 times that a Serpro holster is not a good holster, and they won't believe you until they're on the range and it fails, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that you were right." and then they switch to a more reasonable holster. There's been a ton of innovation that's come out of the EDC, the concealed carry, the firearms market in the last 2 years, right? 2 or 3 years with the Enigma. I think Neomag now has their clip system that you can actually, you have it on the whole. I hope it's Neomag. Hope I'm not messing that up. Have you guys seen that where it's essentially a clip for your holster, but it allows you to take your holster and then that clip now integrates with like a belt clip that they have, a clip that you can put inside your gun safe. So it'll allow you to do that, right? So I was, the Vertex, this fanny pack has that kind of built into it where I can holster my gun in that fanny pack. That the Enigma holster system. What is there anything that you all think the industry is missing, or that are you seeing a problem that students or female students are having that would be like, man, if we could solve this one or these two things, it would be, a game changer, or are we kind of at the peak of what's available?
I think there will always be innovation as people can carry more and as people are more entrepreneurial to make products that they would like in their everyday life. I think that's always going to continue to grow. And I do love the Enigma system. The challenge for women is that our clothes are different. I might wear my low-rise jeans. I might wear my high mom jeans. And so everything fits a little bit different. And so to have customization in that and to make concealed carry viable for the daily wear from, usually I'm in yoga pants, I'm a work from home mom. So just to have all of the different solutions that can work with the different real life wardrobes is helpful. And so I think as we grow in the technologies, already the Enigma has so many amazing customization features that make it adaptable to everyone's lifestyle. And I think a lot more products are going to be continuing to move in that direction. Dakota, what do you think? You're our Enigma expert.
Yeah, I think that the Enigma solved some problems that I hadn't seen solved with other products before. The main one being that you can have your gun at a level that's separate from your belt line. So first, as a girl, I'm not always wearing a belt. I'm not always wearing pants with belt loops, but when I was carrying pre-Enigma, I kind of had to. And I hadn't found a belly band system that I felt comfortable with the trigger protection and everything like that either. So I think the off the belt line really helps. It makes it adjustable for people. But I think it's a great question of what else can be done. I'm sure there's things. I just can't really think of anything at the moment because I'm happy with the way that I'm carrying.
Andy got the Enigma, and I'm waiting to hear his feedback because the skeptical side of me is like, it can't be this good, right? It's a holster system. It can't be this good, and I'd imagine that it is because it's just been universally well received, and it solves the problem that a lot of that even. I mean, my full-time job, I wear jeans with a belt, right? So strapping a holster on isn't a problem for that. Yeah. But man, it's not the most comfortable thing to do day in and day out, and we kind of tolerate it. And one of the things that I've heard, Memphis Beach, he was talking about it. I was asking him about it, and he's like, "Man, it's comfortable. It really is." And I think the holster industry did a really good job making people skeptical of that, because every holster was the most comfortable holster 3 years ago, and it's like, is this comfortable? This is not. I had a tier 1. Like the holster with the sidecar deal. I was like, this is not comfortable at all. What the hell? Like, everybody's lying to me. I want to talk a little bit more about training before we wrap this stuff up. What are some drills that you like to see the students run? If you had to say, hey, these are some of my favorite drills that I like seeing our students run and perform, whether it's at the national conference or at the local chapter level?
Well, we have a lot of drills that we offer. So we have our quarterly match, which is a different course of fire every time. It's not a set drill. It's just a different course of fire that we switch out quarterly. And I love seeing ladies participate in that because primarily it gets them kind of in a competitive mindset, which I love encouraging people to do competition. But for them to understand the range commands, the course of fire, hearing a beep, working from a shot timer, that's all new to many, many of our ladies that come to us. So if they can just run the shot timer and learn how to stay focused and run a simple course of fire, a 6-round or 8-round, 3-string drill, and just little things like that that can boost their confidence. We also have our shooting journal that has drills in it for every month. So we have live fire, dry fire, and live fire drills in our shooting journal, and all of our members can download our shooting journal for free with monthly activities. And then we also have our own line of targets. And so this month, I saw a lot of girls online. I've seen pictures of our Candyland target that has kind of a path of different things you need to do in each box, but it also has one piece of candy in each box for precision shooting. And so a lot of the times we're working transition drills, we're working part times, we're working just different transitions, up and down transitions or horizontal transitions. And so depending on what target they do, what month they do, we have the Candyland target out right now, but for February we had candy hearts, and in March we had shamrocks, and so just different themed things that work on different drills. And so there's a lot of colorful activities ladies can do, or men can do, just to work different techniques. So a B8 will do some traditional B8 drills that others have done, but then we also have some pretty specific girl on the gun drills that we encourage them to tackle too.
In my meetings, my outdoor events, I push the FBI qual. The ladies are always so intimidated by the name of that, and for us, do we have to have a 90% pass rate, Robyn? Yeah,
yep.
So we have a 90%. Yes, and it's just such a great drill. So I can then monitor. They take it home, they take a photo of it, and they could see in 6 months how they do on it. Again, and the other one of my favorite drills is the dot torture drill. I always 50 rounds, 1 box of ammo. I always tell them it's the best money they can spend. Take your time doing it, and you really will see an improvement, because that is a challenging drill. You get the 49, you think you're going to have that perfect score, and you pull that last shot every time. But for 50 rounds, because I really try to give them drills that is not wasting ammo. I hate them just coming out and throwing rounds down range, because they don't really learn anything or get anything out of that. So they'll see the dot torture drill. They all moan when I pull it out, and then they're all excited when they finish it. They were like, "That's the best class ever."
Yeah, I agree with the FBI qual. I run my girls through that pretty regularly when we do our outdoor range event. But anything that allows them to kind of track their progress. So the Air Marshal qualification, FBI qualification, the Range Master qualification, giving them that course of fire so that they can continue to practice it. And like Eileen was saying, track their progress later, I think is so beneficial for them. And it also is nice to use drills that have, that are being held up to a national standard. So, if the FBI uses it, you can kind of go to any instructor and say, this is how I did on the FBI qual, and they'll know what that means. So I think it's important to use standards that can be nationally recognized.
Man, the cool thing about the FBI qual is like Eileen said, it is intimidating. You're like, oh my God, this is the FBI qual. And then you shoot it and you're like, wait a second, did an FBI, I think for a regular FBI agent, it's 80%. Is that the passing score? And you're like, well, shoot, I just scored better than the minimum for an FBI agent. And, if you're getting up there in the 90th percentile, you're like, man, FBI instructors, I just shot better than what's required of an FBI instructor. So the confidence boost that thing instills is pretty freaking awesome. Before we wrap this up, I do want to talk a little bit about a girl and a gun and what women can expect to receive at a local chapter, what that looks like. And Eileen, I want to kind of start it off with you, right? Somebody in your neck of the woods. If there's a woman out there that's interested or never heard of a girl and a gun, what are they going to get out of joining a girl and a gun?
First of all, our membership is $50 a year. What did we figure out that comes to a month? I can't do
like
addition.
$4.
$4 a month. So I give up one latte a month, and you're in. They receive a package from headquarters when they join. They're welcomed at basically any a girl and a gun event in the country. I always try to send them out a welcome letter from me personally, so to introduce myself, to come out to my events. I generally run 2 a month. We're getting into the summer, so I'm going to lose my outdoor stuff soon here. But I encourage them to participate on all our online activities, because we have a lot of virtual events that take place nationally each month, 2 or 3 virtual events a month. They come out, and try to explain, because it's not really training. I want them to train, but it's not true. It's not a lesson when they come out. It's facilitated learning. It's a safe environment for them to come and shoot. I walk around, I keep an eye on everybody. I have range officers with me to make sure everybody's safe. And then I encourage them to take their training further, lessons, other classes, whatever they're comfortable with. I had such an influx during COVID. I thought we would have nothing, but so many ladies, my wheelhouse became about 65 years old. Ladies that never touched a gun in their life that were petrified all of a sudden. And they all ran out and bought a gun. And now it's like, what do I do with it? And it was so great to be able to be there to help them. And most of them are still, they come every month to my meetings, and boy, have they improved. It's so great to see them now talking to other people saying, oh, you're going to love this. And to watch them not train anybody, but give a little advice to people sometimes. And that's really great to see how far they've come in the last 2 or 3 years.
Nice.
And we always go out to eat afterwards too, because that's where you really get to know everybody.
Uh-oh. You sure it's for women only? Now you're speaking my language. Dakota, what about in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, so if somebody wants to get involved with the San Diego chapter, what they can expect is the first event is mandatory. It's essentially a 2-hour intro to handgun class. So we do an hour in the classroom where we talk about safety, and we do some dry fire so they can figure out how to lock that slide back. And then we do an hour on the range where they actually get to practice. And it's a very controlled range event. So we go kind of step by step through everything that they have to do through the load and make ready process. And then we give them a fire command. So it's just kind of a way for them to feel very safe in that environment, because a lot of our ladies have never shot a gun before. And so they want that kind of step-by-step hand-holding. And once they've taken that class and they've passed it, then they're eligible to come to any of our other events at the San Diego chapter. So we have 3 events every single month. And then we have a variety of special events with different workshops and classes. Or every other month, we do an outdoor holster event where we do some low light shooting. And then we have a trap league for people who want to get involved with shotgun sports. And we sometimes will have like an intro to rifle or a stop the bleed, or, just kind of something to fill in some extracurricular activities that the girls might be interested in doing besides just handgun shooting. So we have a lot of events at the San Diego chapter, but I have a great team that helps make all of that happen. I'm not a one-woman show, so I have the opportunity to kind of offer them a little bit more variety down here. But we have some fantastic indoor and outdoor ranges and great weather, so we don't have to close down our outdoor events for at a time.
And Robyn, wrap that up, finish the sales pitch. If there's somebody out there that's not already convinced, that must be crazy, but
every chapter is a little bit different just because every facilitator has her own credentials. Whether she's interested in trap shooting or, shotgun sports or 3-gun or defensive training, everybody, whatever she has that passion for, she wants to share with her girls. But you can go to any girls' night out. You can go to our website at agirlandthegun.org, find a chapter near you, and just reach out to the facilitator. She'll tell you if there's a prerequisite to attend or if you can just show up. We have a lot of chapters that have a host of instructors there ready to welcome the brand new shooter. And so when you go to the classroom, you just introduce yourself and they'll ask if you shot before. If you say no, they'll pair you up with an instructor. And at Girls Night Out, you can fire your first shots and get that confidence. And then, like Eileen said, go to dinner and visit with the girls and get to meet everyone and know everybody's name. And that's just really what solidifies the community. And we have in-person events on the local level. We have in-person events on the national level if they want to come out and meet me. And then, of course, we have all of our virtual events. So people are welcome to participate as much or as little as they want to get whatever they want out of a girl and a gun.
And what if there's I looked at your, I went to find a chapter. We don't have one in Albuquerque. So what, if there are other cities or areas out there that they don't have a local chapter, what can somebody do?
Yeah, we used to have it. We used to have an Albuquerque chapter. So I'm hoping Dawn starts it up again and gets everyone back out to the range in Albuquerque. So to have a chapter, it takes 3 things, the perfect storm of 3 things. You must be a certified pistol instructor, you must be female certified pistol instructor, and you must have a viable range that's not just shooting in someone's backyard or private property. So we want an actual range with range protocols, safety protocols, and insurance. So if you have those things, those three things, you're a female pistol instructor and you want to start a chapter in your area, then start the conversation. Go to agirlandagun.org, and at the bottom it says start a chapter, and you can learn about our chapter program, what it's intended to do, and how it complements an instructor's business. Because like Eileen said, it's the Girls Night Out is not the training itself, it's supervised practice. Because what people learn in classes, then the inevitable question is, well, now what? We'll come to Girls Night Out and practice what you've learned. I'll be there as an instructor to kind of give you some nuggets. And then when you're ready for your next class, come to another class. So our instructors know that they're going to monetize their time through clinics and classes. And then in the meantime, in between, girls are going to have that community time and that supervised practice. And they'll be able to do all the different clinics like Stop the Bleed and trap shooting and intro to rifle and intro to competition, and really learn that the sky is the limit. A lot of people go to the range and they don't know what's available to them. Or a lot of times new shooters will come to the range and think that that's it. That's it. We go to the range and we shoot this static target and that's it. And then once they get involved with the Girl and the Gun, they realize that the doors have been opened to a community and a world that they never knew existed. And what they came for defense, that's pretty serious and can be scary. Now they realize how much fun shooting can be. And now they're in it to win it for the long haul. And we'll just take them along the journey and show them all the great things there are to learn.
And Robyn, you might want to mention the e-chapter too.
Yeah, and if there's not a chapter near you, you can join our e-chapter. Thank you, Eileen. So we have a chapter where ladies who are kind of our homeless, our chapterless ladies, if there's not a chapter near you, you can participate online virtually with the girls. And then, of course, like I said, come to any of the national events, the destination events. I'll be heading to Virginia next week for our Drift Academy, which is all things vehicle defense. So verbal de-escalation, pepper spray, shooting from inside and around the vehicle, and then getting on the racetrack and high-speed evasive driving. So that's next week in Virginia. We just really have incredible events. And so all of our e-chapter members, although they're not meeting at their local range together as a group, they really do have that camaraderie online in our social channels. And then they get to know us at all of our in-person events that they come to. So there's something for everybody.
That vehicle class, that's a girl and a gun deal?
Yeah. It's called Drift Academy.
I don't know if there's something similar to that. I know Craig Douglas does his ECQC, but
yeah, I've taken that.
There's nothing where it's like, hey, let's do the defensive driving stuff.
Well, what I found was that transitional spaces are such a vulnerability, and primarily to women. I mean, we have a lot of women who are victimized in parking garages, parking lots, just walking through down your street in a transitional space. So I wanted to really develop a class that focused on that, working in and around a vehicle. So we're starting, Chuck Haggard is the instructor teaching his muck and OC. And we're going to be doing some verbal judo. And then, but yeah, really excited to get on the track and do the high speed evasive driving. Sometimes just getting away. It sounds easy to do, but it takes a certain set of skills. And so I want to make sure that all of our girls have those skills to stay safe.
Nice. I'm going to have to talk to Andy, his wife. She's an instructor, all that good stuff. So you said it was Don here in Albuquerque that used to run it?
Mm-hmm. Don Amdor. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit more in the after show about that. Cause I definitely, in Albuquerque, we're seeing more and more women in our classes every month. But it's that there's not a very good, follow-up system or follow up, even for guys, but especially for women, right? Because if it's a woman in class, they're typically the only female in class, so there's one or two of them there, and one of them's there with a husband who's been shooting his whole life, that's trying to coach over the instructor.
Oh, we know him.
Yeah. I had one
We've met him.
Yes.
We know him.
Yep. For me, for my wife, it's one of those things where it's, hey, how come I was like, hey man, I'm great teaching other people. But I couldn't teach my wife anything, right? Like it's a very different dynamic. And I think the social structure that it sounds like that is built into a girl and a gun, it allows to take it, like you said, it takes this thing that is scary and it's self-defense. And it's like, hey, these are the skills and the tools that you need to save your life. Mm-hmm. But it takes that out of it. Right. And then it's less about that. And it's more about the fun stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And then you get better
And you're encouraged. And when you asked earlier, what's the difference for these instructors teaching an all-female class? I think they would say that it's the fact that women cheer for each other. We're not trying to outdo each other. We really want the best for each other. I'm only competing with myself. And when you do really well, I'm going to tell you good job. And other guys don't do that. Guys aren't like, hey, that was a great job. No, they don't do that. So that is one of the things that we bring a lot of energy and a lot of encouragement to each other. But also we take a lot more selfies. But also women love to collaborate. We find not only at conference, but at a lot of our events, having that downtime in the evenings where ladies can talk about what they learned that day. Not only does that reinforce their learning, but they can hear what other people's take on it and what someone else might have heard in that class. And it just reinforces that learning. It's a very collaborative dynamic of learning. And I think that that's just so beneficial, not only in class too. So I always ask our instructors, please give women the ability to have a little time where they can ask questions. Because if someone is thinking something and someone else has the courage to ask it, everyone's going to learn and then they can talk about it, or at least give a break so that if she has a question, she can approach you on a break for it. Because a lot of times having those discussions with the instructor and as a group really reinforces learning, and it creates that social dynamic. And that's why so many people become really good friends with not only each other, but with the instructors. And it's just something that you see everybody on social media and you feel like you're friends because you had that really pivotal learning moment together. And that's what makes it so exciting and unique.
I've developed some great friendships through this group from people all over the country. But what really means a lot to me is the ladies in my local chapter who have become such tight friends, and they're shooting sisters now. They call each other shooting sisters, and they get together and go to the range, where before they didn't have anybody to go to the range with, so they didn't train. So now they go out and they push one another, and that just really makes it really, it's something else that really makes my heart full when I see their friendships develop and they support one another.
Yeah, this is, it kind of makes me jealous and envious because this is, it sounds awesome, right? And if there was something local like that, right, for,
every day is guys' day at the range.
Yeah, but I'm super awkward. I'm socially awkward, right? So it's like I probably need there to be like a guys' gun group where it's like, hey, we're just going to shoot and we're not going to talk to each other, and then afterwards we might hang out and have a beer or something. But man, this is cool, man. It's good stuff, and it's awesome to see the growth that A Girl and a Gun has had in the past 12 years. I jokingly asked you in the pre-show, when are you're gonna have to start running 2 of these a year. And it definitely sounds like you're not too far off from that, and y'all's hearts are in the right places, which means you're going to have to, right? Because
well, the conference will just be once a year because we have Fall Fest in the fall, we have our Clays tournament, we have all ladies Clays tournament in the summer, and then we have Drift Academy next month in June, and then we have Sniper School in September. So just regular moms putting on ghillie suits, shooting a mile and a half away, just regular mom stuff. So
everyday mom carry.
Right. That's right. So, there's not enough time for another conference, but hopefully people will take advantage of all the training opportunities that we offer. And of course, I love to see everybody at conference.
I want to wrap up. The one question that I want to ask each of you is shout out an instructor that your female students should train with. Before we do that, Robyn, do you have like a group of like A Girl and a Gun endorsed instructors to where if there's if there's females out there that are looking at taking a class, like, hey, I can go to the girlandagun.org and I can find some dudes there's some folks I should train with.
Yeah, if you go to agirlandagun.org/conference, you'll see all of our conference instructors. And so that's an easy way to see people who have trained with us. I have so many favorites. I would be remiss to even name a few. But you can go online and see at agirlandagun.org/conference, the list of those amazing instructors that were with us this year are all listed there. And like I said, most of them are coming back for our conference next year and with some additions. So very excited about that.
Eileen or Dakota, do you have a couple you want to shout out?
Oh boy, I feel the same way as Robyn. It would be hard to do, but I guess one of my favorite instructors, just because of his enthusiasm too, is Adam Winch. I really enjoy his classes. I've learned a lot in his classes, and he seems to be able to teach. He really seems very comfortable teaching women.
Awesome.
Yeah, I also am like, there's so many. I'll rattle off a couple that come to mind. Eileen already mentioned Brian Quick, but he is a favorite for sure. Brian and Shelley Hill from The Complete Combatant are also awesome. Luann Hamblin is an amazing instructor. She has a few different classes, but her barriers and barricades class is always a fun way to kind of challenge yourself and get into that kind of moving and shooting and different sorts of shooting positions that people.
I want to say Luann too, please.
Yeah. Yeah, Adam Lynch is fantastic. Anyone with Defenders USA, I know Brent Hickman is an instructor for them as well, and Russell, and there's a bunch of good guys working with Adam. I'm trying to think. I know I have like 2 or 3 more that are just so good, but I don't want to keep going because then I might leave someone out.
That's cool. This is just we're building our guest list off of these, right? And that's right. You all are great instructors. So it's easy for us now to reach out to folks and be like, hey man, you were referred to us by such and such, and you're obviously a reputable instructor. We've had 1 or 2 guests on that I think were like after the deal, and I'm like, oh man, that was that the best use of our time and getting this person in front of these folks. But before
we have a really good list, so definitely check out the list. I would strongly endorse anyone listed on this website, on this webpage. Of course, I love working with Josh White. EJ Owens came back to conference this year. He's amazing. Paul Carlson came out to our conference for the first time. Really high reviews from Paul's class. I've trained with him before, so I knew he would be a favorite. Chris Seipert is always a favorite. He does a decision-making class, shoot no shoot drills, and that's always excellent. So just any one of these instructors, they're all amazing. So if you get a chance to train with any of them, take the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, I really do appreciate that. I just pulled up that list, and yeah, when you're listening, check out agirlandagun.org/conference. They spell out all the instructors, and then they link directly over to their respective websites. So it'll be super easy to find a class by any of those reputable instructors. And I look forward to having some of those folks on
the Apache guys. You got to invite on the Apache guys. They're awesome. Riley Bowman, I know he's been on your show before. He's awesome. Yeah.
Man, what's cool is to see these names, how they're all coming together for this conference. We have Steve Moses next week. We had Brian and Shelley on.
Yeah. It's a small world.
It is a small world, but it's awesome to see the collaboration and these folks going out and working alongside, their competitors, but really over, looking past competitors and understanding that the pie is big enough for everybody. And the end goal is to really make people safer and better, and enjoy the Second Amendment more, which is great. It's really reassuring to see. So, man, it sounds like it's a great conference. I'd imagine that it's going to be as awesome, and you'll probably sell out in 4 hours this year. And you said that registration opens September 1st of this year.
That's right.
So that means you'll have 3 or 4 hours to get it done come September 1st, midnight Eastern time.
Yep,
so if
set
you're
your
in
alarm.
Mexico, so set your alarms. That way you can sign
up. Make sure your membership's up to date.
Oh, members, yes. And go to agirlandagun.org. It is awesome. It's really exciting to see that there's this level of involvement and commitment from you all and everybody else that's involved in your organization to really to bring this mission to life. And it is something that is much needed. It's so cool to see, because the firearms industry, if there's one thing that we do really well, it's alienate people that don't look like me, right? That's not a middle-aged white dude. It's awesome to see these barriers being broken down and more folks getting involved with their personal responsibility. So hats off to you all. I really do appreciate you jumping on and sharing your time with us. Remember, before I jump off, any parting advice that any of y'all have for any of our listeners?
Join A Girl and a Gun.
Thank you for having us on. Thank you for letting us talk about the conference. We're so proud of how the event is and really letting us talk about our entire organization. Thank you for the platform.
Anytime. You guys are welcome to come back anytime. As it leads up to that, I don't know if you guys do, if you do a podcast tour, but as it gets closer to launch, if you want to come back on, you're more than welcome to. We would love to have you on. If there's anything that you all are doing at the local level as far as firearms instructions, we'd love to or instructing. We'd love to have you on as an instructor guest. And the worst question in podcast history: is there anything that I should have asked or that you would have liked me to have asked that you want to talk about now? I don't want to miss any information. Normally, that's just a flyby question, but for you all, I really do. I don't want to miss anything because what you're doing is awesome.
I think the biggest thing that I would love for our listeners to take away is that there's something for everyone in A Girl and a Gun. So if you're hearing this, or you have a woman in your life who is new to her firearms journey, or if she has been shooting forever and is a hard charger and she's a competitor, she's going to fit in our community. There's going to be opportunities for her at all levels of her journey. And so the hardest part is just showing up. So we invite her. She's always welcome.
Nice. Well, remember, it's your life, it's your safety and protection, it's your responsibility. We appreciate everybody jumping on. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. We'll see y'all next week.